difficult and too dangerous to not allow him the time to be able to do that.
Do you anticipate him practicing tomorrow before you leave for Brooklyn?
We'll see.
And then was anybody else unavailable to practice today?
Nope, everybody was good.
Good. What are your expectations for Evan in year 3?
I think we've started to see the beginnings of it. You know, there's an Evan who is more involved, and I think just through an increased usage, his impact is going to change. You know, just watching him with the ball in his hands, like the opportunities that it creates for people around him. And, you know, I keep saying this, and I think, you know, sometimes it's missed, but like Evan doesn't have to have a number in order to be great, right? I think our goal or what we see at the game is he's got to average this, he's got to average that, he's got to average, you know, X, Y, and Z. But that's not priority for Evan, and that doesn't speak to Evan's impact. Because Evan's going to play the game the way the game needs to be played and take what's there. So, you know, he's a ultimate team player that makes the other team pay for the mistakes that they make.
When it comes to Isaac, you guys are playing at a much faster pace this season. Do you see his defensive responsibilities changing at all in terms of just defending primary ball handlers, the guy with point of protection, because it's going to be at a different pace?
I mean, we're still going to have the same expectation of him. You know, who he's guarding. 9 times out of 10, excuse me, it'll be the other team's best offensive player on the floor from a perimeter standpoint that night. So I don't expect his responsibilities to change. You know, obviously, if there's more possessions, you know, you'll lean on him more because he'll have more opportunities. But, you know, he's a lockdown defender, and, you know, we have the benefit of being able to put him all over the floor to control and contain guys.
Do you see just a difference in workload and if he has the capacity to maybe handle those extra possessions as well?
Oh, yeah, I mean, Isaac's a machine. You know, again, I have not been around anyone who works harder. I've not been around a guy his age who knew from the jump how to take care of himself and what extra he needed to do to make sure he was prepared. I mean, you remember, like, his rookie year, we put him through the ringer, you know, and every day he kept showing up. So, you know, this isn't something that's happened overnight. This is something he's always prepared for.
And there were some roster cuts in these finalized things. How hard are those conversations with guys who didn't have that guaranteed spot coming in and maybe trying to audition with you? They'll probably get a chance now with Charge and Mike, but is it still just a tough talk?
Yeah, I mean, you're still in the, you know, these are guys' dreams to be in the NBA. So anytime you have to have that conversation, it's difficult. You know, I think a lot of the conversations, you know, with the G League now and the Exhibit 10s and those types of things, you know, a lot of the conversations happen earlier. Guys kind of know where they stand, so it's not, you know, as difficult. But, you know, there's always that hope, and guys are always hoping to achieve that one roster spot. So it's never easy. You know, it's part of the worst part of our job, to be honest.
Going back to Evan, since you said, like, he's always trying to make the right play and doing the right thing that contributes to winning, how do you quantify his defensive impact for you guys?
I mean, a lot of it, to be honest with you, comes from the eye test. Again, we've talked about things like they don't keep a stat on how many times a guy decides to not go to the basket because Evan's in the right place. And, you know, 9.5 times out of 10, Evan's in the right place, so guys don't go in there. They don't keep a stat on how confident we are that we can switch Evan onto a perimeter player and he can keep that perimeter player in front of him and force him in, you know, just to get off the ball and, you know, evacuate the ISO. Like, so those are things that we watch, we study. You know, they don't keep track of how many times Evan tells the guy in front of him what the coverage is going to be or where the pick is coming from. You know, like, those things are huge for our defense and making our defense work. So, you know, it's hard for us to put into a number that maybe everybody could understand. But, you know, we see the significance every time we watch the film.
So he's loud on defense?
He calls the coverage. He's loud enough to get guys to hear him, but it's still Evan's voice.
With the pressure on Evan to take those steps this year and maybe not having to boil down to specific numbers, what about his personality do you see in him that allows him to handle the pressure that is on him to
I mean, first off, you know, internally there is no pressure. Like, we're not having conversations with him like, you have to do this, you have to do that. We are aware, obviously, of outside, influences and conversations, but we just need Evan to be great for us. So as long as he goes out and does the things that we need him to do, like, we're satisfied, and so is he. But what I understand is, Evan has a burning desire to be great and to win as much as possible. So, that's where his concern is. It's like, how can I go out and help the Cavaliers win as many games as I possibly can? Like, that's where he puts pressure on himself because he wants that. But, again, it's, you can't put a number on it, like how competitive he is and, how he wants to impact winning, which we've seen him do nothing but that since he's gotten here.
Darius and Donovan has a year of experience together. In year two, in what ways do you feel like they can build off of that? And you got so many different pieces. We've always talked about it this season already, but
yeah, I mean, they can help each other more. I think, there's two-man games that those smalls can play, and defenses have to make tough decisions, whether it's, small pick and rolls where one of them is slipping, dribble handoffs, like they got decisions, are they going to switch it, but then it's like, how do I make Donovan's job or Darius's job easier and get them the ball, in a position to attack because the defense has made a poor decision. So I think there's things that they can do where they just help each other, to take the pressure off of them so everything doesn't have to be so difficult and hard-earned.
how much does it help to have the movement shooters that you guys have now and obviously the spacing threats as well?
I mean, shooting matters. A guy like Max and George with their reputation, they carry a sense of gravity, and that gravity's not just standstill gravity. Some guys can just stand in one spot and people kind of, hug up to them. But like those guys, because of their movement, it forces multiple guys to keep an eye on them and see where they are. So now their gravity takes 1, 2, depending where the action is, multiple, maybe 3 guys that have to watch them. So that just creates more opportunity for, the ball handlers in the backside.
JB, I think we've seen some differences just with the way you guys have played in the preseason. What do you, for fans, like what's the biggest difference in the way that you guys are going to play this year that they'll be able to pick up on pretty early on?
I mean, I'm hopeful that the ball movement is there and people can see it. We want to have a thrust and an explosiveness from the defensive end to the offensive end. But, there's a feel when that ball is just zipping around and defenses continue to have to chase that we want to create offensively. And, that's something our fans can see. I think that leads to more open shots, whether they be threes or driving closeouts and getting layups. But I think, we want our offense to be more dynamic. And then we still got to hang our hat on the defensive end, and that can't change for us.
No, that's all. Given his injury last year and what you've been talking about with Dean Wade in terms of being healthy and confident throughout training camp, did you exhale when he took that shot from Buddy Hield the other night?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is you just never know, and you never know how guys are going to, respond and wake up the next morning. But, again, I think his confidence is there, so we need him to stay on the floor so he can keep building that confidence.